Hey, how y'all doing today, guys? Today's historic Brawl commander is Jon the Exile, a legendary elf wizard that at the beginning of our end step, we can draw a card if our library has more cards in it than our target opponents. Otherwise, each opponent mills 5 cards. So essentially, if we have 90 cards, our opponent has 85, we draw a card. If not, they would mill 5 cards off the top of their deck. And you'll keep doing that until we do have more. So, this is basically a mill commander. At least that's what I would call it. Um, so we got plenty of mill strategies, and mill is one of my favorite types of decks. So I basically crammed in a lot of mill cards, of course. So we got Ruin Crab, a must-have if you ask me. Uh, it's insane. I still think it's insane, especially when you could run 4 copies of it. So we have that. We have Overwhelmed Apprentice that comes in. It builds 2 cards, and then we can try to. It's pretty good because it's we can bounce it with Thassa here and keep doing that over and over, building it for 2, scrying for 2. See, Merfolk Secret Keeper. We can make our opponent mill 4. Then we have a 0/4 blocker for the other side. We have Confounding Conundrum that lets us draw a card, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under our opponent's control, that player have already played a land earlier, that land that they played gets bounced back to their hand. Or they get to, I guess reading it more, they get to return any land they choose back to their hand. But basically, this lets us kind of keep up with something, say like a landfall deck or anything really green or red or green red rule. Just because the deck itself is pretty slow, we don't have a lot of big attackers, so we're not really going to win by whittling our opponent's life points down. So the longer that we can kind of draw out before they can get to their big stuff while we get set up, the better. We also have Iceberg, whatever, a snow creature crab, that whenever a snow permanent enters the battlefield, we can choose target player to mill 2 cards. Manic Scribe, that has Delirium. And when it enters the battlefield, opponent mills 3 cards. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if there are 4 more cards in our graveyard, or more card types, that is, in our graveyard, that player mills 3 cards. We are also running some of the new stuff. We have Glimpse the Unthinkable. Target player mills 10 cards. With something like Brewback on the field, that becomes 20. It's very nice. And that's 10 cards no matter what. Or was it? 10 cards no matter what. Unlike Tassa's Hideous Laughter, which can mill tons of cards, but if they're playing a really heavy mana costing deck, it can potentially only mill a handful of cards. So I think they're both pretty good. I don't know which one I would consider better. Maybe Tassa for certain matchups, but Glimpsy Unthinkable is pretty fun. And then we have Drown in the Lock to let us counter anything really, depending on how many cards are in our opponent's graveyard. Then we have Say Please, a counter spell that mills. We have Sage Road here, but I'm thinking about maybe taking him out because we don't really play a lot of blue creatures. Not enough, I don't think, to actually justify playing him. But basically, whenever another blue creature enters the battlefield, opponent loses or mills 2 cards. We have Archmage here because he combos pretty well with cards like Psychic Corrosion and Teferi's Tutelage. So that whenever we draw a card with either of these two, our opponent mills 2 cards. So we can have Archmage on the field, and anytime we cast an instance or sorcery, because he has Magecraft, we will draw a card, and that will also trigger these 2 cards. Same with our commander too. So our commander with one of these cards on the field is very nice because we're constantly milling our opponent. We also just have some kind of cards I think that kind of fits the theme. So we have Intellect, Devour, and Gonti. When they both come onto the field, when Gonti comes on the field, opponent can look at the top 3 cards of our opponent's deck and exile 1 to cast later. Intellect Devour is kind of the same thing, except it's cards in our opponent's hand instead. We have Patient Rebuilding. That at the beginning of our upkeep, target opponent mills 3 cards. Then we draw a card for each land card put into the graveyard this way. So it can be a pretty good way to kind of benefit from milling our opponent. Aside from that, see, we have Dreadhound that can ping our opponent for any time a creature card is put into their graveyard from their library. Same for ours, but we're not really milling ourselves. Sir Conrad, it's pretty good too. Same deal with Dreadhound. Anytime a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves a graveyard, Sir Conrad deals 1 damage to each opponent. So we pair this card up with something like Maddening here. Say we have Conrad on the field and we kick Maddening to mill half our opponent's library, round it up. You know, if they have like 20 creature cards that go, you know, that could be game right there. We also have Ancient Silver Dragon. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, we roll a d20, draw that many cards. And we also have no hand size for the rest of the game. So that card can be really nice if we have something like Teferi's Tutelage or Psychic Corrosion. That's really the only reason why I'm running it. And plus it's a pretty big threat, so I haven't been able to really use it, because either we lose or we mill our opponent before I can even get to it. But it's there, you know, I think it'd be pretty fun. We also have Ashiok here. We can +1 to create a 2/3 blue and black nightmare creature token that whenever this attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles the top 2 cards to the library. We can -3 to return a target non-land permanent to our opponent's hand, then they have to exile something from their hand. And for -7, we can cast up to 3 spells from all face-up cards our opponent controls or owns from exile without paying the mana cost. So that's pretty good when we compare it with his other version, which is Axiok Dream Renderer. We can -1 to target opponent mills 4 cards. Then they exile then we exile our opponent's graveyard. So if they have like 40 cards and we exile and then we -7, we have 40 cards that we can choose from among them to play for free, which is pretty fun. I've had it happen a handful of times, so it's not like it doesn't ever not happen, you know. So that's basically the gist of the deck. We're going to get into a few matches and see how it plays. Looks like we're going up against Liliana Dreadhold. I think we can keep this hand. We will play... So we'll save the Pathway just in case we need it for something else, even though we do have Chromatic Lantern in our hand. So next turn we play Chromatic Lantern, turn after we play Thassa. Play this on blue just in case. So we can go Thassa next turn and Ashiok next. See if we can get a land. Gotcha.
Fight fair? Give it your best shot, adventurers.
So they could have blood on the snow. Blood Chief's Thirst.
Ah, you got lucky.
Honestly, I'd rather
that's
them
all.
kill Thassa than Ashiok. So, it's not too bad.
My kin are delightfully friendly.
Now Ashiok, I kind of hope sticks around for a little bit.
Creeping, thieving pride.
So we'll play our commander. So we got rid of a couple lands, so they're gonna play Liliana next turn anyways. So we can sacrifice our tokens. So far they don't really have anything we care to pull from with Ashioks. So they're just gonna blow up a commander. It's fine.
Let us march into battle and make new comrades. From battle to the grave.
It's not really as... I don't think that's too effective, honestly. Just because you can just keep making more.
shadows
So if I
awaken.
play... So we'll play our commander again. Play out of snow, that way we can keep up Racing Borrower or Infernal Grasp. We could even cycle if we wanted to, too. Crux of Fate's pretty good. I don't think they're really a creature-based deck, so they're probably like Black Kill spells and whatnot. I don't know what they could be tapping for here. It's all... It's fine. If they play anything big, we can bounce to the Borrower. Just straight up kill it.
I'll find a use for you later.
Actually, it might be more beneficial for us not to kill Liliana, because they can just replay it. So we'll get rid of Nightmare Shepherd. So they'll draw a card, of course.
They were a lousy servant anyway.
So what do they need? They need to be able to -4 to do anything. Turn target. We can return it to their hand if we really wanted to. Or we could return one of their tokens to their hands. Turn debate would be the best way to do. So I can either make another blocker, and they make a zombie. Because they can't -4 or do anything else really yet. But they'll keep drawing cards, probably. Let's see. I really don't care about bouncing either one of these right now, I don't think. So... we just make another token.
Creeping, thieving progeny.
Play out Ancient Silver Dragon just to see what we get. They might have a way to kill it next turn, I'm sure they do. And we'll do no attacks. Next turn we'll probably swing in with our Nightmare tokens. See if we can't exile something good off the top of their deck.
I've learned much from your
We can
death.
then minus Ashiok for. So yeah, they definitely got something, but that's fine. We're just getting rid of stuff in their hand then. So we need to maybe
I'm
consider
looking for new
using Blood in the
minions.
Snow.
Care to volunteer? Oh, you can scream
leave it
if
in the
hurts
graveyard.
Too much. Good help is easy to find in war.
Patient rebuilding is pretty nice. So let's see how they block. So we can get a Nyx Lotus. Viking Palm Ninja. Now I could just bounce. Liliana comes back with what, like 6 loyalty points? And then just minus. Got plenty of mana to replay it, of course. don't really. It's not other than Nyx Lotus. It's not really anything I care to grab. Feel like we can get something better. Alright, let's let this go through.
Waste not, want not.
We'll go ahead and -7. Grab a Nyx Lotus. We can get rid of Graveyard Trespasser if we want. Let's just go wide.
Tragedies are the stars of your final act.
Because we can get our commander back here. Destroy all planeswalkers, okay. And make sure I hit the right one. Get back our commander. And we can have them mill. Get rid of Tigrid, that's pretty good. And we can keep up Brazen Borrower. And then we might draw into a counter spell. Liliana, I'm assuming they're gonna
Your corpse
sacrifice.
Will make an
No, they're
excellent
just gonna go for
minion. Rise and shine.
ticking. So, what is the ward on this? Just to discard something? So we could just bounce it now. Discard. We probably could discard Crux of Fate. Then we would be able to easily attack Liliana without any issues. They also might just sacrifice it to Direction Tower. Beat the Swarm's pretty good. They don't have any enchantments for us to blow up though. So we go for Patient Rebuilding. Go ahead and go for Oracle. We can flash in Brazen Borrower still with Nyx Lotus. Type and Insight probably wouldn't be too bad, honestly. But from what I've heard, you usually always want to choose the 2-pile. Those are actually much better. We still get Siphon because it just goes to our grave. Go ahead and toss this Hideous Laughter. See what we exiled there. Not bad. Got rid of a Gantia. Just go ahead and play Merfolk with our remaining mana. We'll tap into everything. So they might have a board wipe here. But I think we have plenty of ways to regain our hand. Or field, I mean. And we're probably going to leave Liliana at 1. Try to leave her at 1. Okay, so they made a ton of decay tokens.
Smelly, but effective.
That's fine, because honestly, like, I mean, our goal is to mill them, not kill them. So as long as we're able to achieve that, that's really it, all we need. And then we draw an Aldrin's Epiphany. Oh, let's play Gonti. Let's see, Heartless Axe, Fatal Push, Dollhouse. We'll take a Dollhouse. We'll go ahead and cast Aldrin's Epiphany. Siphon Insight. Jadar's pretty decent. No attacks. I'm gonna mill 3 more cards. Get to draw another. So play Shadowheart. It's not really gonna do anything. Get back. Ancient Silver Dragon. Go ahead and put a stop on our second main step. Need to do combat damage for make sure to remember. I was about to just keep Liliana at 1. See what we roll. Or at least anything more than 4 or 5 even. 18, holy shit. Okay. Let's see, how do we want to do this? So we can just meat hook for 2. Which I think we should, just to get rid of their board. We get rid of our dragon, but we don't have a maximum hand size. Let's see, what else did we get? Looks like we only have blue mana to really play with now. Or maybe it's add mana to the amount of color. So I guess we can choose between blue or black. So yeah, so let's resolve. Play Garuda. Or we play Thassa. Bounce Gonti. We could even time warp now, think about it too. Actually, I think that's what we'll do with time warp. I hate that this resolve all thing doesn't work, or if there's something I don't know or don't understand, like why it doesn't just let him continue without me having to hit resolve still. I don't know if that's a bug or something. Alright, so we're gonna time warp. And we're going to enter turn. See, did we draw into... Yeah, here's a tutelage, so we're gonna definitely go with tutelage. Okay, guys, looks like we won the match. Internet cracked out at the very end there, but I'm assuming what happened was that our opponent conceded after the second time, or skip turn. So, sorry about that. So, I know I only played technically one match in this video, but I've been playing for almost 3 hours now afterwards, or after that match. And I honestly have not really won any matches. I've won a couple, but they've just been people scooping in the first couple turns, which isn't really much of a match. It's just losing two decks that blow out really quickly, as far as anybody goes Central. So every other match I've had pretty much after that one is pretty bland, or not, doesn't really show off the deck like I wanted to. So unfortunately, when they cut this video off, it's just one match, but at least that one match kind of shows what I wanted to achieve with the deck. It's also unfortunate that it's also, had that error at the end. So it kind of, interrupts the flow of the game. But, it just is what it is. I don't have enough patience to keep losing, essentially. Not for at least another hour. I don't think the deck's even bad. I just think maybe it needs my interaction or something. I don't quite know. Because I felt like I was setting, like in the matches I had off screen, I was setting up the board just the way I liked it. I was milling consistently every turn, even on their turn. It's just eventually they would just blow out. Maybe bring in a few more graveyard removal. Something similar to how Ashiok here can destroy the whole graveyard. So maybe I should put Bajuka Bog in here. And usually do, I guess I just didn't with this time. So I would definitely put Bajuka Bog in here. I would probably take out Sage. I feel like it could be used in a different deck, maybe in a mono blue mill deck. So I would probably put another counter spell, whatever you would want in place of that, maybe, or some kind of interaction. The board wipes, I think, were good. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just how mill decks normally are. You know, you gotta actually. It's more about setting up the board and sitting on it than trying to kill your opponent. Granted, we can kill our opponent when we have Comrade or Dreadhound on the field, but it is what it is. So sorry for the short video today, but I'll have another video probably by the end of the weekend. I don't know what commander I'm going to play next, but we'll see. Thank you for watching.